With various programs, events, and guidance networks, the KrauseCenter serves as a caring, non-judgmental, and long-term residential center for disadvantaged or neglected children. The children here are 11 to 17 years old, come from a wide variety of backgrounds, and can turn to the counselors at the center for guidance, support, and understanding. The KrauseCenter is located in Katy, Texas, and serves children from around the Houston area. Not only does the center provide personal development activities and counseling services, but it also caters to the specific needs of every child in its care. Join us as we explore the history, daily activities, and ways to contribute to the organization that provides essential support for neglected children.
Krause is a long-term residential treatment center for both boys and girls, ages 11 to 17 years old. And they stay with us an average of 6 to 9 months. And they're referred to the Krause Center by various organizations and state agencies such as the Child Protective Services, JPD, family law judges. Currently there are 60 children roughly at the Krause Center, roughly half boys, half girls. A third are Caucasian, a third Hispanic, a third African American. And what each child sadly has in common is that they've been the victim of neglect. They've been the victim of sexual or physical abuse. And they come to the Krause Center angry and afraid and lonely and depressed and hurt. And then along with the therapeutic care, the spiritual care, the loving, caring staff, and it's also, for example, our one-on-one intensive educational system. That's a game changer and part of the healing process. And as you can imagine, virtually all of our Krause children, they come to the center 2 or 3 grade levels behind. And so mandatory attendance at our individualized on-site Trinity Charter School gives them this amazing opportunity to catch up, to gain lost credits, to reach the appropriate grade level, to establish confidence. And for the first time, you know, they can understand that they actually can become a success in school and, more important, in life. While at the Krause Center, many of the children discovered talents that they didn't know they had. In music, in art, in cooking, in sports. Some of them, and praise God, asked to be baptized.
So how did the KrauseCenter Children's Center start?
It started because there's a need for these kids. These are kids who are between the ages of 12 to 17 years old who have suffered from some kind of neglect or abuse, and you know, they need a little extra help. They need a little counseling, therapy, and that's the treatment that they get because it wasn't working for them back home. They were in foster homes or they were pulled from juvenile detention, juvenile probation, and brought here because they needed that little extra help.
What else do you hope to achieve the center?
Our goal is to help these kids, you know, feel confident about themselves, continue their education, and go on to do bigger and better things. So on site we have a Trinity Charter School. So every day, Monday to Friday, the kids here go to school just like you guys do to get their education, and they can go to college afterwards. And they also have access to therapists and counselors so that they can work through their issues, because as I mentioned, a lot of these kids have been abused or neglected, and so they need that help. And they've been in situations where nobody's ever really told them that they're good enough or that they can really make something of themselves. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to encourage them and give them that hope that they need to continue on with their lives.
What are some significant challenges faced by the children's center?
A lot of the kids have been physically, emotionally, or sexually abused. And that's, again, you know, that's why they're here for the therapy. Some of them, unfortunately, may have suicidal thoughts or actions, and so that's why we're very careful. You know, it's very secure here. There's always a staff member with the kids, monitoring the kids, making sure that they're okay, because we don't want them to hurt themselves. And that's why, you know, even something as simple as a staple on a piece of paper like this I can give to you, but we have to be mindful of that and make sure the kids don't have access to sharp objects like that, because they could hurt themselves, they could scratch themselves with it intentionally. Well, in some cases the children may not have communication with their parents if they've been pulled from a foster home. So in some cases the kids may have lived in various foster homes throughout their lives and not not been able to cope with the problems that they had in their childhood, and that's why they've just been bounced around from one foster family to the next, or gotten themselves into trouble, which is why they're in juvenile detention. So sometimes when they actually leave the KrauseCenter, they end up going back to a brand new foster family. So for them, life is not very stable.
So who founded the KrauseCenter?
The KrauseCenter, from my understanding, was founded by the Krause family, and unfortunately I don't have too much more information about that.
Their accomplishment for these children?
For the kids, that's a good question. So basically when the kids come in, they are awarded for certain good behavior. So they get different bracelets, and after they do good things, they get certain points, and they get bumped up to a different level. When they get to a different level, which means their behavior is really good, they'll get a different type of bracelet. And that just helps them, feel kind of cool that, I accomplished these things, I'm doing really well, I'm doing well in school, I'm doing all my chores in the units, and, I'm being a good citizen. And that really just helps them with their growth here. And they also get points. And every time they get those points, they can come to a little point store that we have here on site, and they can go in there and use those points to buy things like cool little pillows or notebooks, toiletries, shampoo, body wash, and candies. There's candies and chips, so they love that kind of thing as well. So they do get rewarded for good behavior.
When did the KrauseCenter start?
I believe it started in 1997.
Other students help?
Well, all of our volunteers have to be 14 years old and up to volunteer here directly with the Krause kids, and there's so many cool things that you can do. We have groups that come in to teach the kids yoga or hip hop, or just to come in and hang out with the kids and play board games with them and chit chat with them. They really enjoy meeting people their own age, because these are kids that are between the ages of 12 to 17 years old. Other students you can hold a donation drive at your school to collect toiletries or school supplies, duffel bags, because a lot of these kids, they come here with nothing, and when they leave after 6 to 8 months, they still may not have very much except for what we've given them. So it's nice for them to have a little duffel bag that they can put their school supplies in and other belongings for when they leave Krause.
So Krause is just a school, like an alternative school?
It's not just a school, it's a residential treatment center. So what that means is they live here, they go to school here, and they get their treatment here. Yeah. Just behind here, that's where the kids live, and I can show you when we go back inside, but out back on the other side, there's an actual school and a gym, so they get to do all the same kind of things that you guys do, with a little bit more restrictions. For instance, when you go to school, you're sitting in a class with girls and guys. In their case, their classrooms are separate, and that's just because of the level of treatment that they have. We don't want them to be distracted, we just want them to focus on getting better.
So how do the children relate?
Well, from what I've heard, and I'm still new here, but from what I've heard from the kids, they, when they come here, they feel upset, they feel angry, they don't know why they don't understand why they've been sent here, because they've lived in so many different places throughout their lives in some cases. So they're kind of angry and they might lash out. But over time they come to see that the people here really do care about them and love them and want them to do better and want them to be successful and make a life for themselves. And they start getting that stability. For instance, we have volunteers that come to a certain group that comes twice a month, and the children have said to those volunteers that you're the first people who have never let us down. So these are kids who, we can call our parents, we can go to our parents when we have a problem. These kids may not have that. And so when they come here, they finally feel a little bit of a sense of stability.
How many children are currently in the center?
We have anywhere between 60 to 65 kids at the Krause Children's Center. They're broken up into 4 teams, and 3 of those teams are girls and 1 of the teams are guys.
What's the best part of volunteering at the center?
Well, I keep hearing from volunteers that the best part of volunteering is that you're helping somebody. You're helping, especially if you are the same age as the kids here or you're a parent. You would never want to put your child into a situation like what some of these kids have suffered from. So these volunteers really have a lot of love to give, and they're able to pass that on to these children.
Are there any specific examples of children?
Sort of couple stories today of one boy who left. He ended up joining the Marines. Another girl went on to become a nurse. So the college education is, these kids can go to college after they leave Krause. You know, in front of us, they're 18 years old and have graduated high school. And so there are success stories, and that's what we want to do more of when we leave Krause.
And trust me, we would love to be in the position to go out of business. But sadly, this side of heaven, I'm not sure we will ever be able to do that because that